Thank you all for joining us. So I'm Julie McClellan. I'm the CEO of Healthy Land and Water, and I'd like to welcome you to this showcase event. It's pretty full on, so I hope you really get a lot out of the day. It's my great pleasure to welcome traditional owner Shannon Ruska. He's going to come to the stage and perform a welcome to country, as well as talk a little bit about his land and sea connection and the stories that existed long before we did in this great area. So his father and many Aboriginal uncles and aunties over the years have instilled his heritage into his heart and soul. His first journey was performing at Maryborough, Cairns and Hopevale on a tour to one of Brisbane's first Indigenous drama groups. And I was just chatting to Shannon before, and one of his uncles actually started a drama group rented a room in Brisbane State High many, many years ago. It was at this point, I guess, he decided that the stage was for him, and many of you will have seen Shannon before, and he's travelled the world many, many times, performing dance and taking traditional and cultural art overseas. Together with his father, Eddie Ruska, he began a dance group that was morphed over the years, and today Shannon heads up Tribal Experiences. He's a very proud Yagara man, and I'd like to welcome to the stage Shannon Ruska. Thank you, Mark. It's over to you. Thank you.
Some of you are probably sick of me by now. And thanks for the big rap. My name's Shannon Ruska. My Aboriginal name is Yuan. Can you all say Yuan? Yuan means the black saltwater goanna. It was given to me by my uncles when I was a teenager. I'll tell you a little story before we begin, because we're storytellers, right? And one of my uncles, he lived at 1 mile. Anyone been to North Straddie before? I bet you Cameron hasn't. There's Cameron countrymen as well. Just like to acknowledge the other countrymen around from the different tribes, and those that are from our tribe that might be here today that I haven't seen yet. But he lived at 1 mile, and they called him Waxy. And I'll tell you the reason why they call him Waxy a bit later on. But anyway, he'd tell a lot of stories. So we'd always go up there and sit by the fire with him. And then he would light the fire, and he'd tell us stories about the curlew bird. If anyone knows what the curlew bird, and here's a calling out. Hang on, I've got to turn this technology off. Brother, I'm on stage. No, I'm joking. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, anyone knows about the curlew bird? The curlew bird, one comes by itself and calls out. It means that visitors from another tribe are coming. But if many of the curlew are all calling out in a sorrowful cry, well, then it means that there's going to be a death. So as Uncle would tell that story, we got scared and scared because the night would go on and we get closer to his feet. Anyway, he'd tell us about dugongs, he'd tell us about kangaroo, and he was a bit of an artist. So he'd make these artifacts, right, and he'd paint them, and lawyers and everyone would come and buy his artwork. True story. It's around in different places. Passed on now. Rest in peace, Uncle. And then he said, we are good artists. We got artists that can sing, and then you got artists that can paint, and they're really good. You got artists that can do poetry, like the famous Ojaroo, Kath Walker, and then you've got artists like me. And I said, oh, what's that, Uncle? And he said, bullshit artists. So from that moment, I thought, well, if you can do it, I can do it. Anyway, but he said, you'll be like me one day, boy, and I took that on. Anyway, we are the great storytellers of the land. Be careful what you ask, because make sure you ask the right people, because you could end up with that bullshit artist story. Anyway, what's a welcome to country? Not something that event organisations and our mob started in the past 10 or 20 years, something our mob's been doing since the beginning of time. My great-grandfather, his name was Mookin, Grandfather Mookin, and Grandfather Mookin was born in the 1870s and early 1871, and at Stradbroke Island. His mother was from 2 different areas, from here Breakfast Creek area, and then also from up at Nambour, a place called Nambour. Anyone know where Nambour is? Yeah, nice neck of the woods. All right. So he was bloodline from those countries. His father was a Stradbroke Island man, and then Cleveland man. Stradbroke Island came over to around the Alex Hills area. I won't say the exact boundaries, but they're there, eh, brother? Anyway, so we share the history across to the islands from here as well as surrounding areas. But he was a messenger man. And it was one of the most important things was to be a message carrier. You see, in Australia, if you don't know, most of you probably know that there's over 300 different languages. Let's take a little tour. Let's go out of the Brisbane River and let's head on over to Stradbroke Island. And at Stradbroke, when we arrive on the shores at Dunwich or Amity Point, there'll be Nunakal and Gurrumpul people and that to meet us there, and they will greet us with the word repeated after me, Yura. All right, let's paddle then from Amity Point, get in those rough waters, go past Bribie Island, head up to Maroochy River, pull up on the side of the river there. We'll jump out and the tribe there will greet us with the word Wanya. All right, let's get off our canoe now. We'll walk over through that Glasshouse Mountains. We'll get to the other side to a place called Merg and Cherbourg. Anyone know where that place is? Very famous place. Now, that place is the Waka Waka people. They'll greet you with two different ways that I know of. There might be more, but one is Yari Gari, the other one, Yanande. Now, let's take a big trek, head down through Esk, arrive at Esk, and we'll go down towards Ipswich area, and they'll greet us with the word Yanma. All right, head past down to Bow Desert and Logan area. We'll go down there. Anyone from down that way or live down that way? Yep, and they'll greet you with the word Jingaree. Head into Surfers Paradise and you have the Combamary people, some that we are also part of. And right in the heart of Surfers Paradise, they'll greet you with the word Kayala. Now we'll head on home now. We've had enough, so we're coming back home. People come to us, Yagara country, and we'll greet them with the word Biki, like Bicky and tea. Biki? Garamba. Ogaramba Biki just means g'day. All right, so as you can see in a small area, how people, some of our mob don't like this word, but it defines us, how diverse we are as a people, because all of those different families that occupy those areas are governed with laws and customs that have been passed down for 65,000 years. If you look at that map alone, look at it like Brisbane City Council, which is Yagara, for example, go down to Logan, then you got Yugambeh Council or government, Waka Waka government, Quandamuka government, and Kabi Kabi government. And that is exactly how it is for us as a people. So he was a messenger man. He'd travel over, take these message sticks which had carvings or paintings on, and it gave reason why our particular family was traveling from country to country. An old tape, and those of you that are involved with like Friar Library and places like that, look up Grandfather Willie Mackenzie, and this man I'm talking about, Grandfather Mookin, Charlie Morton's sister, they both sang on a tape, but they also shared the stories, Janie Sunflower Morton, and they gave an example of how you do a welcome to country in the traditional sense. And what happened was the messenger man would go by himself. Each person here in your family would have had a messenger man, and he would travel over, and then he would take the stick to give reason why you're going, like a passport and visa. I think they call it a vaccination passport now. Anyway, but he'd head over and the other tribe would invite him in, the spokesperson. The part you see anywhere here now, any event you go to, stadiums, no matter where, is the welcome to country speech, right? You've all seen it, yeah? Now that's the part that's common all over. But the other part to the welcome to country is, you know when you see a smoking ceremony in a stadium or wherever you go? That's to cleanse the area. That's I suppose starts to give good feng shui for the meeting. But it was a custom that was done. And in the old times, it was a custom that we knew that our neighbours had nothing to hide. If they didn't go through our smoke, they had something to hide. Must be running us down at the time. I don't know, something like that. But after that, the elders would, you know, we'd all catch up on the goss. We've got Facebook for that now. And after that, the elders would say, get your kangaroo skin headbands, get your emu feathers, however those tribes dress up. And they always, always do a song and dance, because the songs and the language is the culture. You see, through those songs is a walking archive, and they pass down to the generations of a long time ago to the modern day. Songmen and women, which I am one, our job is to learn stories and songs from 65,000 years ago. Like Berono, there's a song, Garingananami, Jujamo Berono. Berono means the flat treeless plain, the land before creation. We sing a song about that. It belongs to the Kabi Kabi and the Waka, our neighbours. And then from there, we sing one about 200 years ago. So the sovereign ship that went down in between Amity Point and Moreton Island. Our mob came up from Stradbroke Island, did a dance at the, where the old government house is, where the governor used to live. The university's there now. They have some events there. Well, our mob went up there and did the dance about the ship that went down, because 11 or so of our mob went out and saved those settlers that were coming in on those boats. They actually swam out in the rough waters and saved them. But so we're lifesavers as well. Look for us when you go in that water. But that just proves that we knew the water inside out, even from that generation. To jump, has anyone been to Amity Point on Maiora and looked at that water? Has anyone gone out in the middle and when the tide's coming in? I'll give you a quick talk about this. I took my son, we live over there now. My son, he's stubborn as they get, right? Anyway, he goes out and he goes, Dad, how you going? He's waving, I look around, whoa, son, how'd you run out there so fast? Anyway, the tide's way out. And he's sitting there. I said, son, get back in, you don't know this water. He goes, yeah, no, I'll be right. 11 years old, going on 21, 30, And anyway, sure enough, the three waters came right around him. I said, son, you better move now. Lucky it was only knee deep. I said, you had to learn, hey? And he didn't listen in the beginning. So our people, we know these things, that's the roughest waters. Don't go swimming there. Bull sharks, everything. But let's now talk about what land and water. I've explained a little bit about the water, how we know it. I'll explain how we see the land a long time ago until the modern day. And I don't know if any of you have heard this story before, but the creation of the Brisbane River story was told to me by Perga elders, people out in Perga. Anyone know where Perga is? Yep. A long time ago, they created an Aboriginal reserve called Deebing Creek Mission, and it was run by the Presbyterian Church. And that's when all the mob was rounded up from the areas and taken out. A lot of my people were put in there. At the Deebing Creek Mission, later on, it wasn't suitable in that area, so they said, we need to move it over the hill 9 miles away to a place called Perga. And that's why, if you're driving along to Boona, you'll see the Perga elders and descendants, and that's where the mission was moved from there, Deebing Creek to there. Those elders there were still alive. I think Auntie Mary King was one, Uncle Eric Morgan was another one, who could sing in fluent language, and I got to learn songs off them and dances when I was young. And all the elders would meet up there and they talked the old stories, and a couple in particular talked about the ancient stories. Well, one about the Brisbane River and the creation. A long time ago, this land was what we called Berono. Like I said, the flat, treeless plain, meaning not that we believe in a flat earth and all that kind of thing, but it's a flat, treeless plain. So no creation, no mountains, no rivers, no nothing. And then there was Bayami and Birali. And Bayami is a New South Wales word that we adopted in time. And Bayami just means like God, the word for God. It's not a separate God, it means the creator. So if you're talking about the creator, God, in any of your customs, we're talking about the same thing, the biggest being known to mankind. The boom effect, right? Us. And they started to draw up the plans for the land. And then they created the first beings. The first beings these elders spoke of these large mystical animals, these massive goannas, these massive dolphins, these massive kangaroos. Who could tell me what they were referring to as the first beings or the first big massive animals that were running on Earth? Sorry? No, dinosaurs. You got it. So they were referring to these dinosaurs. It took me a while to work out this, because you start to question, are these mythical things real? Like, were there really these big animals running around? And then when you put it into context, it makes so much more sense. After the battle there was two brothers in particular. One was Yolgara, which means the goanna. Who knows where Breakfast Creek is? Yep. Well, Breakfast Creek was where the goanna and the dreaming is. It was known as Yolgara, and inaugural. Inaugural was part of that whole dreaming story. Inaugural didn't get called inaugural. It wasn't called inaugural by us. That's a new word. It got, bastardized, the language, in a letter that went to Sydney, and it went down as Yolgara. It came back as inaugural. And from that day, they called it inaugural, but it was all Yolgara. And the goanna, a long time ago, and the dolphin, which was Gowanda. Can you all say Gowanda? All right, Gowanda, he was the goanna, the dolphin, and he had, I will get onto the human part of the story soon, but they had a big disagreement, these big animals, right? They declared war, so they went into battle. And the battle went on, and it started at a place called Wynnum. Does anyone know where Wynnum is? Yeah, well, Wynnum is where this battle began. Those big mega dinosaurs were all at Wynnum, believe it or not. There you go. They started to battle. The goanna rounded up all the land animals. The dolphin rounded up all the saltwater animals. And then this battle began. It went on for weeks into months until the bird life joined in, led by Mibben the eagle. The eagle was from the south. Talk to anyone in the desert. What does Mibben mean? Talk to anyone in Gold Coast of the tribe. What does Mibben mean? It means the people, and it also means the eagle. He brought the ancient spear up from the south. The ancient spear, and as he flew low enough, this eagle, the goanna could see him, and he seen his brother fighting just in the distance. Well, he wanted to win. He jumps up, he grabs the spear. He runs over to the dolphin who was fighting, and he spears the dolphin into the back, and the dolphin, he goes down. You see, his blood was boiling, the dolphin. He was angry. And the spear was stuck in him, that he had to take big breaths. And he blew the spear up, and at the same time, all the blood goes flying out, massive amounts, and begins to burn because it was boiling through the land. Now, if anyone's been to Coochie Mudlow, which means Red Rock, or Moreton Bay, you'll see that red everywhere. That is the blood of the dolphin. Now, after that battle, the goanna, I know where the goanna ended up. The goanna came back to the place called Yolgara, but he was always upset and he was depressed. So he went out to a place to see his other brother, which was called Maroon. Can you all say Maroon? Can you say up the mighty Maroons, even you New South Wales mob? All right. But that place called Maroon Dam, that place called Maroon Mountain, it all has that connection. And then the mob at Stratty all have that connection as well. So there's a brothership and a customary lawship that takes us and connects us to those different areas. Right through from the top of the Brisbane River with the Waka mob all the way through. Now that created our different areas, our animals, so the animals are all named in the battle. That gave us our totems. So you know when we say a totem is goanna, well then it identifies us to a particular area. Same as carpet snake. When you say I'm carpet snake, it identifies you to a particular area. And so the goanna mob stretches all the way out past Ipswich to a place called Boona. And it gives us all those different totems. Now along that river, this is where the species of the animals live, you see. And the dolphin, I'll just go into the dolphin man. Now the dolphin man lived along the Nerang River. This is part of Gowanda. His name was Gowanda. The dolphin became really wise, and his hair turned white. And when he was about to pass on in human form, he walks out and he turns into the dolphin. And then that's the last that they seen him. 3 weeks later, the Kombumerri people see the grandkids. There's grandfather Gowanda. He comes back. The dolphin has the white fin. And that's the white hair of that old man. And we see him in Moreton Bay. See, these stories relate right down to even the modern day. Does that make sense? Gowanda in spirit form, Gowanda in animal form, Gowanda in human form. All came down in the stories until even the modern day. You'll see those Kombumerri people, and I might be right in saying this, I'm part of them, and the hair goes really white, really young. Poor buggers. All right, but we're just wise people, right? There you go. So it gave us responsibilities all along the Brisbane River, right out to the bay. And for us as Yagara, our women are the bosses for the actual waterways. So they'll tell us how much we can get, fish, do all that, all the laws. Excuse me. The rainbow serpent was the creator, because after that battle, when the blood burned through the land, began to carve through and make the dry gullies, along came the rainbow serpent. Her name was Kabulgan to the eastern people, or if we go out past Ipswich and up to Cherbourg and that, Mundagara. And she come along the dry gully. She got stuck, so she called upon her brothers, Yarrow the rain and Ngailan the cloud. And that's the Moreton Island mob, the lightning and all that came into the story. And then the rain come down and it got under her belly. She was able to wriggle side to side. And she opens up this dry gully into that big river right there. And that was our life source. So the rainbow serpent has tracks, and some of you will know that there's underground waterways that connect from even one tribe to another. Blue Lake to Hallidan Spas, out at Hallidan to Ban Springs. And this is why we say there's a rainbow serpent in each one of those places. The women are the boss. They can lead you to the water. The men are the boss of the land with the carpet snake. You see, the carpet snake is the land snake. And the tracks, even when we do our dancing, the ladies make the tracks of the rainbow serpent, shuffling their feet. The men make the tracks of the carpet snake, carving into the land as they go. And hence why we dance like that. Now, all these tracks lead us to the different places, and each of those totems give us our laws and customs, even with our neighbouring tribes. So our neighbouring tribes, who's from Europe, like Italy, France, Greece, like that, but in Australia. Our neighbouring tribes, the Kabi government, the Quandamuka government, the Waka Waka government. Waka Waka is the crow, Gowanda is the dolphin and carpet snake. Yogara is the gowana, the maven or the yugambeh. Nyagam is the dingo, and also Mibin is the eagle. And all of these animals, we as neighbouring tribes can't go into their country and just hunt them just for the sake of hunting them. If I want a goanna, I couldn't go in there. The goanna people had the responsibility to tell you how much you could take, more or less how much you could buy and sell. Does that make sense? See, when we talk, I don't want to say it like this, but I'm both black fellow way and white fellow way. A black fella sees land like this. It's not so much a resource. The elders said this, and I'll say, the elders say, we don't own the land. The land owns us. Now you look at me, and in the 1990s, Paul Keating and that, they were going, you don't own the land. The government owns it now. See that? But they weren't saying it in that context. They were saying this. We're here in a minute part Our life is only minute compared to how long this earth's been here. And if it begins to be here for another 1,000,000 years or whatever, we're the shortest part of history. Minute part of history. So we don't own the land. The land owns us. You know why it owns us? Let me take away your land. Everyone in humankind. If I take away your land, tell me what you got. Zip. Sweet. Nothing. I meant nothing. I was going to say something else. But sweet, you know what? Nothing. So if you don't have the land, you have nothing. Okay? So that's why we keep that affiliation with the land. We didn't buy or sell it in the old custom. We didn't buy or sell land. We knew who was from where. We knew how much we could take. We knew the laws and customs of what we could do, hunting rights in certain areas. If we had no food because there was a drought, we'd go and see the neighbours and they'd say, go and come and camp in our country, hunt some kangaroo and get some fish, and then you stay for a month and you go home. And you can have a motel room more or less along that river. And then, but even the trade back in the old times was not about, us taking more land off another country. It was always us about sharing and caring that land. And as I said, I'll finish off, sharing and caring. And we as Aboriginal people may not, in some eyes, own the land, but we do. But if we don't have land in the human context, the land, you don't own it. You'll be gone one day. You will be gone one day. But the legacy and what you do with the land today will be what our children do tomorrow. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great time when you gather.
Thank you, Shannon. That was amazing. And women are the boss of water, just saying. Hey, you heard it. Just on reflection, storytelling should never be lost, nor the stories told through art. I just wanted to reflect on the artwork behind me. This was done by a Quandamooka woman, Belinda Close, and it actually depicts the story of, it's our story, as in Healthy Land and Water's story. So that story was, we sat around and we talked about what it is we do, and this symbolises the work that we do on land, with fire, with water, and with people, and all coming together to care for and look after the land and sea country. So that's the role of I guess, our organisation, but we never do it alone. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any in the room today.